anything with wage tax.
So Sharon, that 43 and then the 55, you could almost say that 44, 650, it's almost a $60,000.
Wage tax.
Okay, guys, we're live on YouTube.
That 43 and then the 55, you could almost say that 44, 650, it's almost a $60,000.
Okay, guys, we're live on YouTube.
That 43.
What's going on?
That's okay.
Yeah, we're all live. It was just starting to echo and it stopped.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
I guess the question that I was asking to Sharon, or do we need to like officially do the whole, we need to do roll call and all that before we start, correct?
Just because there's people on live, let's go ahead and do a roll call
Sure.
here.
That's
Sharon.
fine, Charlie.
Do we go ahead now, Charlie?
Yeah, go ahead, do a roll call. We should be live.
Okay. Linda Allworth,
Here.
Susan Brown,
Here.
Charles Stahl,
Here.
Chris Kulik,
Here.
Jeremy Smell,
Here.
Chris Fabick,
Here.
Ted Long,
Here.
Sharon Long here.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing page 1 of our budget worksheet. And I can't really fill anything in since it's on here, but we can at least reference it as we go. So I think our first big cut, Chris, you have the floor on what your plans are. Chris Fabick.
So I sent everybody a couple emails throughout the week, and then today even something that I put together after talking to Linda yesterday that would cut even 6,000 more from my budget. I don't really have anything else to cut without cutting services, and I don't understand why we would want to cut police coverage. I'm cutting the non-essential, if you would say non-essential things. We're eliminating 5 positions that we currently have, and that would alleviate sick time that we wouldn't have to pay out, training of officers that we wouldn't have to pay out, sick time for officers that we wouldn't have to pay out. I'm cutting a good amount. And then I'm also willing to let the township reopen my contract and negotiate my contract again. And ultimately what I would be doing is taking a pay cut. So I'm bending and scraping as much as I possibly can to make this work with what I have. I just need some input on it. You all have my numbers as of this morning. That's I guess worst case scenario for me is what you got this morning, I would hope. And you talked about capital reserve, depleting capital reserve. The other thing that I don't know who knows and who doesn't know is I opt out of medical benefits. That's not something that I have to do. It's not in my contract. I didn't take the stipend like the union wanted me to. We're all talking about people losing our jobs. If next week my wife loses her job, I mean, that's $28,000 that's not budgeted that I opt out of to save the township additional money. So I need some input because I'm bending everywhere I possibly can.
I guess go ahead.
I was gonna say, I have a question for Sharon. If we go with the 3 mil, how much do we need to cut out of our budget to make it workable? Can you?
I think that number.
The number I showed yesterday, and I forgot to bring mine home stupidly, but it was like $10,000 some dollars would be our break even point, and that's a break even. But then I have to then pull from capital reserve fund to start covering bills for January, February, and into March. But then since we're planning, if you would plan on a budget of a break even, there would be no way to have any extra income in order to replenish capital reserve.
Right.
So once you're pulling from capital reserve, it's gone.
Yeah, and the comment was made about us not wanting to work down to 3 meals. And my feeling is we have worked and worked and reworked and worked, and we have cut a lot out of this budget. It's not that I don't want to work down to 3 meals. I don't know where we're going to work down to 3 meals. I mean, unless we do, like if we take the 6,000 that Chris is going bare bones for the police, if we get rid of all our donations except the hydrants, that saves us $8,500, but that leaves the fire department and the park and the pool and the library with nothing. I mean, we're looking at really drastic cuts now.
Well, I think everybody is taking drastic cuts right now. So we have to decide what's important for everyone. Does everyone want every single pothole in every road fixed this year?
Yeah, the township people do.
Yeah, but does everyone want their taxes raised?
They want both. They don't want a tax raise, but they want their roads perfect.
I mean,
Yeah.
something else to keep in mind. You know, we don't really have budgeted in any of these budgets for any major equipment purchase. We have something in the state fund, but you know, if you look at the years of a lot of our equipment, I mean, we have a 94, we have a 2000, we have a mower that's a 97, and I can't even remember what year our backhoe is. 2006. And these are things that are getting used a lot. Well, I mean, I just paid a bill to get the mower fixed for $14,000. How long is that going to last? Is it going to last us another 10 years, or next year are we going to have to sink a bunch more money into it again? I don't know.
We already have to tear it apart to fix the sleep.
Did you hear what Ted just said?
No.
I said we already have to tear it apart to fix the steering. We're going to try and do it in-house. But it means, you know, it's getting into things that really the tractor should be separated to do, but we're going to try and do it without separating it. And I think the part itself is going to be $1,000, give or take, unless you want to buy a Chinese one off of Amazon for, I don't know.
I mean, I'm concerned for the township as a whole, like everything in the township, roads, equipment, employees, you know, I mean, our buildings. I mean, if we take away our safety net, we have no plan for the future of being able to just even maintain normalcy or be better. And that's a sad state to be in. It's scary. It's upsetting.
I agree.
Yeah,
And I would like to make clear too that the issues with equipment and stuff, our board isn't necessarily to blame for that. This is years and years of putting it off.
Correct.
This is, oh, we can fix it next year. Oh, we can replace that in 2 more years, and it just never got done. And this goes back long before our time, but it has to be fixed eventually. Something has to be done eventually.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Jeremy was going to say something about the police budget. Can I hear what he was going to say real quick?
Sure, Chris. I was just going to ask you the question. You know, I see the changes you made, and I certainly appreciate you trying to get this down to as small of a number as possible, and especially all the personal sacrifices that you make as well. You know, currently under the budget that we had in front of us, not your addendum, but just there was $48,593 spent on part-time salaries. Again, I hope that I'm correct in those, but I think that's where it's at. Is there any chance that we could operate on like a 2.5, like a 2 full-time, and then cut that part-time in half? How much of a negative impact is that going to have on the department?
If you're going to eliminate hours, you're going to eliminate coverage.
Sure. So what right now, Chris, what is the total amount of hours that we put officers on the road?
112 hours a week.
112 per week. And is it safe to assume that 80 of those hours are made up by yourself and the other full-time officer?
Correct.
Okay. So you're looking at 32. So if, and again, I don't know how scheduling works, but from just rough math, if we were to keep 2 full-time officers and do a half of the allotted amount, say $24,000 to part-time, that would leave us 16 hours short roughly per week on coverage.
If you can get an officer to work that.
If you can get an officer to work, what, those 16 of the 32 hours that we're proposing?
Correct.
Okay, so the trouble is finding 1 or 2 or 3 or any group of people to be reliable enough to cover those shifts.
Well, you've got officer, they're constantly going for full time, right? So we lose Officer Morelli in January. Officer Krill's getting deployed. We lose Officer Krill relatively soon. You have an officer now who has been steadily getting those 32 hours a week. He can go get another part-time job somewhere if we're going to cut his hours and get the 32 hours a week. I guess where I hang up on that is when we started these budget talks a few months ago, it was, we don't want to lay anybody off. We don't want to affect people's income in these times. Why are we willing to do it to the police?
Well, I'm not saying it's just the police. I'm just trying to look, to try to take care of our core, I guess, essentially the 2 full-time officers that we have, and also provide, just to staff the department to your needs, but also being mindful of the budget as well. I don't disagree with you, but I think that everybody's looking to save where they can right now.
I mean, no disrespect to Ted. I like Ted, and sure. Ted and I get along, but why are we attacked? Like, the police have cut and cut and cut. Why do we have to keep cutting? Why can't you cut? I'm cutting 6,000. You need to get to 10. Why can't you cut $4,000 somewhere else?
Well, the $10,000 isn't actually the real number. The real number is more like 59,000 to get to a 3 mil. So that's part of the issue, is the number is greater than 10,000 according to what Sharon was telling us.
So another thing that I can't put on paper because I can't project the future, but
sure.
My proposal was to make me a salaried employee.
Okay.
If I was a salaried employee at that rate that we spoke about, that would save you $10,000 if I was salaried at this current time. So I can't project that I'm going to save you $10,000 next year, but I can project based on meetings and such that I'm required to attend. Salarying me at minimum will save you an additional $3,000.
Okay.
So I mean, then you're at 9. I don't think that cutting police services when you hired me to build back a police department because of what it was when I took it is the right answer.
Okay.
Chris, doesn't have anything to do with that. And
you're talking about eliminating police hours.
No, what you did at the beginning was, yes, we wanted to do that, but this is an altogether different situation. We have to look, I mean, everybody is doing the same thing, not just us, okay? I have cut everything out of my life, okay? I probably cut more than any of you here, all right? So we all have to take a cut somewhere. It's not that we want to do it. We have to take a look at what we need to do.
And I'm offering to take a pay cut myself. Myself am offering to take a pay cut.
Yeah. I
don't take medical. That saves an additional $30,000 a year.
Yes, and you're not listening.
So I am immediately cutting.
Yes, but you got mad at me last night and you're getting mad now, and you shouldn't, because we have to talk this out and we can't get mad about it. And I understand you have been taking every cut you can take. Now I want to know where else we can cut. And Chris, you haven't said anything.
I mean, I did propose earlier, and it was shot down by the entire board, a $70,000 savings of laying off a road crew worker. And it was decided that was a bad option. And that was at a budget meeting. Linda, I don't believe you were there. It was September, maybe October even. I did suggest that, and it was horribly shot down because we don't want to affect our employees' lives either.
Well, and
Well,
another reason was we were gonna have to hire somebody part-time for snow and grass, and it was only gonna save us like, what, $17,000?
Yeah,
Not the
if
whole
we did
revenue.
that. And if we didn't do that, we were going to be left with a huge cut in services. People's roads would not get plowed. The snowstorm the other day, it would have taken them triple the time to plow the same amount that they did in that time. And that is why we chose against that.
yeah.
Well, putting someone on the road crew on a part-time situation is the same thing as putting a police officer, cutting a part-time police officer in half. I mean, who wants that job?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, that's why we ultimately went against it. But I'm just trying to make the point that we have brought up other ways that we could cut that it just doesn't seem right. It won't be the best option for the township in the long run. I mean, I don't want to lay anyone off. That's where I'm at here. But that's what I'm saying is it's the same for the police as it is for the road crew. Who wants that small position? You know, the on-call, just come to plow snow type of position. No one does. Or if they do, I don't know how reliable they would be.
What's the number on, I was trying to look through this. There's so much information. What is the number on what we have budgeted for the asphalt part of the roads?
That's in the state fund. So
Down
in the state
here.
fund packet, and we did make a cut there.
Yes, we
I
did.
remember we already cut probably what, 10 or 20 grand out of there, but
Yeah.
So
And I mean, the
next
thing
year-
with state fund is that has no effect on the rest of our budget. State fund is specifically income from liquid fuels, and that's all it is.
Yeah, but we
I
still
mean,
made that there.
so cutting, let's say we totally cut that asphalt, that's not going to help our budget.
No,
No.
because that money is only allowed to be used for certain things. The only thing that would save, because I don't want to misspeak, the only payroll you are allowed to pay out of liquid fuels is road department payroll. That was done when I was first hired back in the 90s. They paid road department payroll out of liquid fuels. But the problem is you only get so much money from the state in order to put towards roads. So if you're paying payroll out of that money, now you're able to do less road work because there's only, a little over $100,000.
And it keeps
Well,
going.
I asked
down,
that
too.
question because I don't know if there's anyone watching this.
Yeah, I think we have
Hopefully
one or
they
two.
understand that.
What? I'm sorry, Chris, what?
I said I asked that question because I don't know if anyone's watching this or
Oh.
not. That's the question I keep getting. Well, why don't you just cut the roads? Well, for that reason.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a completely separate budget. The state fund budget is separate from the rest of our budget that involves taxes. If we wanted, we could put money towards paving roads from taxes, but we don't do that. We specifically keep it in the state fund. So that answers the question for anyone that might be watching.
What's the chance of the state cutting funds to the municipalities?
Highly likely.
They already did. We took a cut next year compared to what we got this year.
Yeah, 'cause your liquid fuels is the money, it's your gas tax. So
Right.
a lot less people were traveling this year, which means a lot less gas tax was collected, which means next year they're cutting what we're getting in our liquid fuels. So most likely next year, we're going to be seeing big hits in our state fund, but that shouldn't affect us till next year, if I remember.
That would be 2022. when that would-
2022 budget is when we will see that huge hit from
Yes.
this.
Well, that's a problem because I think every year we're going to have a problem.
Well,
not
the thing with the
only-
state, the thing with state fund is that there's absolutely nothing we can do about it.
Right.
Once we lose that money, it's gone unless they raise it up again, which is
Mhm.
probably unlikely knowing the state.
I mean, you could go ahead and you could raise the taxes 5 mils, but what's to say the year after that you don't have to raise it again? Because I don't see anything good happening for the next few years.
Because with the 5 mil tax raise, it left a cushion that we could
How
hopefully
much?
rely on if we have a few more bad years. We would have a cushion of 64,946.64. That's what I put there. based upon, our budget as we worked on, we would have that $64,000 provided nothing major happens next year that we don't have budgeted for. We could put that away into capital reserve. And then if we have another big loss in wage tax or something else like we had this year, we could then rely on our safety net of the capital reserve to try to help us pull through that issue.
Yeah, but where we're at right now, we're draining our capital reserve, and a 3 mil raise would not replenish it. It would barely even break even on our general fund. So then we're left with no cushion. And say we do have another bad year next year, we're going to be raising again. I mean, if we have to raise at 5 mils, we're going to be raising even more at 3 mils. That's Charlie, what I'm trying to say.
Ted wants to say something.
Yes, Ted.
The only thing, going back to that was, we pay for equipment repairs out of the general fund. I think I mentioned at that last workshop we had that, you can do equipment repairs and pay for it out of the state fund. We budget $15,000 a year for that. The difference that makes is paying for it out of the state fund is now I have to satisfy an audit. When Sharon gets audited from the state, there's certain stipulations on how we would get vehicles repaired, starting at a certain dollar amount. Like right now, since we pay for it out of the general fund, basically Dean's Towing, they can fix anything really we got, and they do 90% of our work. So what that would do is if something broke down, I can't just go to them. They work with me, they get it done, and I get things back generally pretty quick turnaround. Now, if the repairs get to be a little more expensive, that, it's going to hinder me being able to get things repaired more quickly.
Well, you said we have to do a bidding process if that's the case.
Well, that's what at a certain dollar amount, that's what would happen. So since they're not like an authorized dealer of some of the equipment that we purchase, they're just a local repair shop, that could raise some red flags with the state when we get audited.
I will say, obviously I've been audited by the state auditor general several times with liquid fuels, and they are very particular with what money can be done for. And if I don't have the proper paperwork following why I paid out of it, then they expect me to pay back the money. So that, out of general fund, if I ever make an error, I have to pay it back.
So what we pay for as far as materials for road paving, oils and patching, aggregate, piping, that would all have to absorb that, we spent more than that this year, because of the tractor. But, so that would all those things would have to absorb, moving that over to the state fund.
You wouldn't have to do anything wrong. It's just the things that you need, you wouldn't get them as quick as you would like.
Well, if I would have to do a bidding process, then yeah, I would have to call and get quotes on jobs. And some things I tried doing that with the tractor anyway. And, nobody could really give me Stevenson could, because they that tractor's so old, people don't have information on it. I know he had to go way back. I asked him to send me things for this steering issue, and it took him a couple weeks to get me any information on it, because he had to dig back into their stuff to find, service manuals for this tractor. And so he knew how long the job would take. He can say how long, but other places that I called couldn't give me a labor quote because they didn't know how long it would take.
Which will further extend your wait.
In general, for small things, no.
What is the dollar amount? I think you told me, I don't remember.
I believe it's around $10,000, somewhere right around that mark.
Are we talking about repairs to equipment?
Yes.
It's 15.
Yes.
Well, we're talking about the limit for bidding, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what we budget. So that's what we budget. So that 15 would, if we put that into the state fund budget, that, obviously the other things that we do out of that money, it'll have to absorb that
Right.
15. Like I said, this year it went higher.
Is it possible to split it? Leave part in the general fund and part in the liquid fuels?
I mean, it's still, I don't know, as far as Sharon goes, you could put it into that. The whole state fund comes off, if we're allotted $200,000 as total, then really either way you split that up, that's your finite amount of money you have to spend. If you
Right.
needed to spend more than that, I'm sure we could do it out of general fund if we had the money.
But that would be one way to cut a little bit. We could cut and shift it, and it would just make your life a little bit worse.
Yeah, and we would have to cut in state fund then too. So we'd have to cut the paving and tar and chipping.
Right.
from
Well,
that.
Yeah, I understand.
that stuff would have to absorb it, yes.
Yeah, everything else would have to absorb us moving it.
And I understand that.
But
Yeah.
that's just, I mean, other than that, really, there's nothing as far as what the road crew does that would change much in the general fund.
Yeah, I believe or either our September or October meeting, we went line by line and cut every line possible that we could find.
I could cut amenities if you're looking to find something else to cut out of mine, like training. If you make the officer my proposal and you go with that, and we have the 3 guys, and that's it. Training I could make part of their schedule or their scheduled work week. Therefore, that $2,500 that's in my education allowance could be eliminated.
Well, not exactly. You don't know that for sure because some of the classes you go to, there's a fee to go. So you might not be paying hours, but you're still going to pay for the class.
We just would elect this year not to attend the ones that are costly. The ones that the board wanted me to put out there was some bias training, some use of force training, which I got, and those are all at no cost. Linda opened up Lindgrow to us, so we're having those at Lindgrow at the beginning of the year at no cost. So the key trainings that we wanted to get, we're getting at no cost. So I mean, if that helps, we could eliminate that. I also started at the beginning of the month. We're doing, not me, because I'm not any good at it, but Chad is doing our vehicle maintenance for the most part. So everything we were sending out to get oil change, tire rotations, brakes, rotors, all that good stuff, Chad's doing all of that. So I mean, I can't tell you what that savings is going to be, but I can tell you that we're going to see it. Chad just changed all the oils and such, and rotated all the tires on all the vehicles for $74. I mean, that would have cost me hundreds of dollars before. So, I mean, I can cut more out of there. I'd rather maintain the police.
I can say that I'd be willing to help. I'd be willing to help out in maintaining the police vehicles. If we're talking like oil changes and tire rotations, I have no problem helping the police out. That was something I did in the past, and we got away from because of the climate of the atmosphere, the work environment, I guess is the best way to say it. I couldn't do that. I mean, we just had to pull away from that. It was too dangerous for me. So I'd be willing to do that for Chris if that's what he would want. Or if you guys want to stick with Chad doing it, but I have no problem doing that to say if that's, oil changes and tire rotations,
Brakes.
and things like that. Yeah.
So I mean, that was with everything that I proposed, and then that added addition. I mean, you're probably at your $10,000 mark that Linda had talked to me about last night. I'd much rather cut things out of those lines for this year rather than cut the services to the residents. I really don't want to do that. I think that we have built such a rapport with the community and the residents that I don't want to see the services that they get decline if they don't have to. And I'm giving as much. I mean, we can cut that. I mean, that's more of a cut. Hopefully, some more savings.
So Sharon or Charlie, this question for you guys, maybe you can help me out with this. What is the number where we don't dip into, as far as millage, what is the millage that we don't have to dip into any reserves to start the year? It's not 3 and it's not 4. Is it 3.5? Is it somewhere in there?
Well, the thing is that we have to tip into capital reserve for next year. I already have to, because I don't have enough money to carry over. The difference is being able to put the money back into capital reserve once I start getting tax money.
Okay, so I'm looking at your chart here. One puts us 10,000 in the red, one puts us approximately $27,000 in the black. Even with the 4 mil, you're telling me we're going to dip in, but it will replenish.
But not all. I replenish
not
some.
all. What if you were just going to guess, and I'm not going to hold you to anything. What would be the loss to capital reserves at a 4 mil? Just an estimate.
From the estimate I did, our capital reserve would go from 80,000 now to closer to 40,000. It would be cut almost in half. Now, again, that was estimates I did on a little bit older numbers too. So
sure, and that, Charlie, that's on the 4 mil. Is that if we go 4 mil?
I believe that was what I did with 4 mils, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So we would be cutting our savings from 89,000 to about 40,000.
I can't even speak. The real year to actually have capital reserve be where it would be back to being where we're at now would be the year of 2022. So if you raise enough now, like 2021 would be we pull from capital reserve. We could maybe put a little bit back in, but not all. But then the year 2022, hopefully things would be all stable off, that we wouldn't be trying to, because we would have an actual carryover into 21 to 22.
And that would be at 4 mils?
Well, I mean, somewhere between 4 and 5. Obviously I would be putting less back into capital reserve the smaller the millage is. And I don't even know if I'm making sense.
You are. I mean, well, you are to me. I can't speak for everyone. What you're saying is making sense to me.
Okay. Because we're going into 2021 with a deficit, I'm going to pull from capital reserve a pretty large amount. I may very well take capital reserve down to $30,000, just a rough number. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if you went with the 4 mil, then that covers our budget, and projecting, this is all projectory, I would have, $26,000 left over to the good. So if I would put that $26,000 back into capital reserve, then that puts capital reserve up to 60, but I'm still, 30,000 less than where it was. So then, it would take a few years to bring capital reserve back up, provided you're not pulling from it anymore.
Sure. No, okay. Thank you for that, Sharon. I understand what you're saying.
Okay, sure. I'm glad you understood, because I wasn't sure.
No, I do it.
It makes sense to me, but I don't always explain things well, I don't think.
No, it's a tricky concept.
If we look at Health and Human Services, and that's our donations to the fire department, the park, the pool, the library, if we pulled all of our support, it would be $8,500. What if we would take half of our support? It would save us $4,250.
I thought the same thing, maybe a smaller amount being given to these organizations, even if it was just for, a year. I'm not saying you said that it's forever, because I think these are very important things.
Right.
But, that's one way to take that number down. On my paper, I was writing just some scratch. I thought if we could take 2,000 out of that pot and redistribute it, drop that there. There were a couple other things while I'm just on the topic. I know Chris Fabic had a $6,000 savings and has explored more. But if you just use his 6,000, if we could skim 2,000 off of the Health and Human Services and redistribute that, however, the board felt fit. I know that we have, and these are little things, but we have that the road superintendent at $500. We could. I don't think we would have to stick with that unless legally we have to. There's some mileage in that beginning part there with the supervisors. I mean, one thing I asked Charlie earlier, and he kind of gave me, he gave me the answer that I wasn't looking for, but he gave me the answer, is we can't change our supervisor salaries and give those back or eliminate them. That would have to be something that occurs with new and incoming supervisors in the future.
And Sharon,
anyway,
correct me if I was wrong with that, because I might
No,
be
you're
wrong,
correct.
but it's my understanding that if we cut our salaries, it doesn't matter until we're off the board and whoever replaces us comes on.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You do not have the right to make any decision on your salary.
Okay, I was hoping we could just give it all back. Unfortunately,
You already don't get anything, Jeremy.
I know, but I mean, it's a very small stipend, but I was just hoping we could just take $3,700 and put it back into the pot. Anyway, so Chris had the $6,000 savings from the police budget. If we could skim 2,000 off of Health and Human Services, the road superintendent and the mileage would be another 700. And then one thing that I thought, and again, maybe it's not feasible, but we have that $2,600 janitorial cost in. That is 409.15. Can we take that in-house? I don't know. Is that possible for just a year, just to try to keep capital reserves and keep the raise as low as possible? I mean, all those together would give us $11,300 in savings, and that's with Chief only doing $6,000 in cuts from his budget. Is any of that sound feasible?
Jeremy, I'm not opposed to cleaning my own office. State police cracked down on us with the recent audit. That she's not even allowed in the office unless there's somebody there. I have no problem cleaning my office.
I was just thinking, could we? Is it? I don't even know what our janitorial services look like, really. I mean, is it once a month? Is it once every week?
It's one lady. She comes in every other week and cleans the entire upstairs and the entire downstairs. She's there for what, like 3 hours, something like that, Chris?
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I'd say about that.
So I mean, obviously, Chris and Sharon, you guys spend the most time in the office along with our other officers. I mean, is it something we could just take out for this year and then revisit these things in the future? I mean, or is that just totally dumb? And
well,
go ahead, Sharon.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I said I mean, when we first moved into the bank building, I was the one cleaning everything. The problem is when I was spending the time cleaning, I wasn't doing my actual job. And
Sure.
like I would try having the cordless phone with me, and I'd be running the sweeper, turning it off, and then trying to answer the phone. Then I'd go back to my desk and handle what I was handling. And it was like, it seemed more unproductive, and it hindered my job more than helping. So then that's when the supervisors decided to just pay someone else to come in and do it, so I could just concentrate on my job.
Sure.
What I will say, for the time being, where we're at, all business is now done at the window. So we don't have residents walking in, tracking in salt, tracking in dirt. There is less mess being created, since inside the township building right now is employees only. So we do have that going for us for the time being. But if we ever want to open our office back up, we have residents coming back in. So now, would our savings probably be approximately half if we cut her down to, say, once a month, and only doing upstairs. I would assume our savings, we would have a savings there, Sharon?
Well, she's paid a salary, so she gets, I don't know, like $100-something before taxes, or maybe it's 90 something. I can't really remember what her pay is. You know, when she comes.
Oh, you'd have
So,
to
I mean,
wonder what she would charge to run the sweeper and wipe the floors upstairs. It'd take an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Just doing the math on our budget, we pay her $108.33 for every time she comes, if she comes twice a month, every month. So that's where we're at right there. I would say if we only had her doing upstairs once a month, you know, we could at least cut that budget in half.
We just have,
yeah,
to have we just have to put a sign up and tell everybody to make sure they wipe their feet.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've had her, I mean, when we moved over to the bank building, I was also pregnant with my son. But then they hired her because they didn't want me cleaning pregnant, and it was taking away from my job. So she's been with us since 2006. You know, I don't know if I cut her, if she'd be willing to stay, or if she'd want to go pick up another job somewhere else to, you know, keep her pay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she may go pick up another office, because she does other businesses. She does the Leechburg Borough. She does the Water Authority. She also does, she goes into people's homes and cleans as well. I mean, I don't want to speak for her. I'm just saying.
I mean,
because she has, good. In the 15 years that she's been with us, she's only had, I think, maybe 2 raises, something like that. So she's kind of never really asked for a raise every year or anything like that. She just takes her flat salary and that's it. I think she does a good job.
Desperate times means desperate measures. That's the old saying, huh?
Yeah. I mean, if we would cut it in half and tell her only do upstairs, and she decides she doesn't want to do it, which I would hope she wouldn't, but if she would, we do have other local cleaning services. We have the one right over on Chenley Road that we did the conditional use for last year, Destiny's Cleaning Service. I mean,
we don't know what she charges though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure we'd be able to get a quote for someone to fill that gap for hopefully less if they're only doing the upstairs. But
I'm sitting there in the bathroom, door open. What's shaking?
I'm in a meeting.
I'm sorry.
oh, Grandma, I said hi.
It's your mother. It's not
Oh,
grandma.
it's my mother. We'll tell my mother I said hi.
Charlie says hi.
Charlie. All right, Charlie.
I will say a lot of it has, just in the people I've spoken to since the last meeting. And I know some people have also questioned, you know, Sonia at the tax office and stuff. A lot of the residents didn't fully understand. They were basing everything off of that article of 71%. And all they saw was 71% increase. I wish that was never in the paper, because it gave people such a misunderstanding of what it was that they were going to have. And they also didn't understand, you know, that that's not their entire taxes. You know, they
Very funny.
Did everyone else lose Sharon too?
say, I pay $3,000 a year in tax. I lost.
Yeah. Oh, you're back, Sharon. We were losing you, cutting in and out.
Darn it, I was saying such good things.
Well, I know exactly what you were saying too. They thought, one, that the increase was for everything. They
Right,
thought
like
their increase was school taxes and everything. A lot
Correct.
of people don't understand that it's two separate tax bills.
Correct. And then, because I had a phone conversation with a lady yesterday morning. Chris was in my office. He can attest to what I was saying. Because when she first called, she was pretty upset because she just knew about the 71% increase on her taxes, and I explained to her, it's only on your spring tax bill and it's only on the township portion. And I even advised her to look back on your on our last meeting where you did the presentation, just that would maybe help explain things more. And then Sonia had a phone call from a lady last night in the tax office, and Sonia explained it as well. And then when she said, like, her taxes were for that lady, her taxes were gonna go up less than $100, and she's like, oh, I understand now. That's way better than what I thought it was, of 71% of her taxes overall.
Yeah,
So,
that's where the confusion lies. And that, I will say, is the editors of Trib Live do that as clickbait. I will openly say that. They do it on every tax article they run.
Oh, sure.
I've even been seeing it whenever places are increasing their water fees. They do it as a percentage because a percentage looks worse than saying it's going up 10 cents,
Correct. So, I mean, the just from people that I have talked to, and I'm not saying this is everybody, but once I had the opportunity to explain exactly what an increase would look like for them, they understood better, and it made more sense than what the big scary 71% is being displayed.
Yeah. I think the other thing a lot of people are forgetting too is the tax bill doesn't come out till April. A lot of people are thinking, if we raise taxes, it's going to happen tomorrow and they'll be paying more tomorrow. But that's not how it works.
I think it comes out in March, but yeah.
March, April, whatever.
Right.
It's mid-March, maybe early April. I don't quite remember when I get my tax bill because I pay it all into my mortgage, but.
Correct.
Well, we beat this dead horse quite a bit.
Sure have. I mean, first of all, I like Chris's cuts. Chris likes what he wants to do with the eliminate part-time and hire just a third full-time. We get more hours and we're saving around $6,500. I like that idea. Whether we end up having to raise taxes or not, that's a great cut, a great saving, and it adds more coverage into our township. So.
And are we including the repairs and maintenance and the education allowance in that too?
That doesn't even count towards his 6,000 that he
I
initially.
was gonna say, because that's an additional 4,000.
Yeah, at least. So that's a good starting point. So actually, with that, I will make the motion to go with Chris's recommendation that we eliminate part-time positions and hire Dalton Van Wy as our third full-time officer for both a savings and an increase in coverage.
I'll second that.
Sharon, do you have your notebook out? You got all that?
I'm writing quickly. Let me hold on.
You're good. That's why I checked.
Okay, I'm calling.
Okay, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'll say nay.
Nay.
Okay.
Was that Jeremy and Linda?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Chris also requested I add that will be effective January 1st.
Chris, what did you vote?
I went with it.
Okay,
Do you want to, Charlie? Do you want a roll call vote?
Yeah, we'll roll call it just to be safe. I mean,
Okay.
So go ahead, do the roll call.
Okay. Charles Stahl,
Aye.
will you be yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
I was looking for ayes and nays, but I'll go with
Yeah,
it.
sorry. Chris Kulik,
Yes.
Jeremy Smell,
No.
Susan Brown,
Yes.
Linda Allworth.
Not at this time.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, and I don't think we need a motion for Chris's other plans of Chad doing maintenance. He's already starting to do that, so that's just more of a departmental thing. And we can also reflect in our budget that, how much did you say you wanted to cut your training, Chris? You said you would, I should say.
I mean, if you eliminate it, I can utilize their hours as their training that we have to get at the beginning of the year. The only thing I would add is, yeah, you can eliminate it if you want to eliminate it. I have that training that you guys approved that's at the beginning of the year, but that came out of
This year's budget?
this year's budget, and that is to keep me as a firearms instructor.
Okay.
The outdoor temperature is 67.2 degrees Fahrenheit. The
So-
outdoor temperature is
So
35.5 degrees Fahrenheit.
that was page 5, education allowance police account number 410.460. Next year's budget is $2,500. So you're suggesting making that 0?
Chris, do you want to leave a cushion of like $500 just in case something comes up? And just leave
If you
that?
want to leave that, that's fine. I'm willing to.
I'd
whatever
feel
the
more
board
comfortable.
thinks
I personally would feel more comfortable leaving that small cushion in case something comes up, a required training pops up that you guys got to get done and it costs money. I want a little bit there just in case. I don't know if the rest of the board wants to cut that other 500, but that's how I feel about it.
No, I think you should leave 500 there for sure. It's a smart move.
Okay, then we're just going to go ahead and cut that from 2,500 to 500 and save 2,000 there as well.
Do you want the numbers for the proposal so that the public can see it?
Yeah.
I think Sharon gave it to us.
Let me see.
What wasn't that in your email?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it and get it pulled up. I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick. And I'm going
And
to
then
see.
can I just add, Charlie, if you're gonna go with my complete proposal, you have to make a motion to open the contract.
Okay, yes. Okay. Go ahead and share the screen again. Oh, come on. So here is, can everyone see it? That's Chris's.
Yes, I can
proposal.
see it.
Okay.
You can see it.
Okay. So that's Chris's total proposal there.
My salary is with the salary that I proposed. You'd have to open the contract. And then I also, if you accept the whole proposal, that's also me taking a pay freeze in the year 2022.
Everyone get that? That's him, 1, taking a pay cut and going salaried, and 2, accepting a pay freeze for 2022. And what we'll do with this is we'll reopen the contract, add these numbers into the contract, and then re-vote on the contract at our next meeting here. So I'm going to make the motion that we reopen the contract.
Second.
Okay.
Who did that? Jeremy?
Yes.
And we'll do roll call just to be safe.
Okay, give me 1 second. Charles Stahl,
Yes.
Chris Kulik,
Yes.
Jeremy Smale,
Yes.
Susan Brown,
Yes,
Linda Allworth.
Yes,
Okay. And Chris, you agree to reopen your contract? If you were talking, I couldn't hear you. You're muted.
No, he's muted.
Sorry. Yes, I agree to open my portion of the contract.
Okay. And this shouldn't affect the rest of the contract. This will just be your section of the contract, correct? We don't have to worry about the full timers and their section. That's what I
Correct.
thought. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we didn't need to include them. Okay. So motion carries on that. Let me get out of this and get back to the budget. Stop my share. Okay, we're back to that. So we've cut there about $10,000 approximately. With that, the repairs and maintenance Chris Fabic, what approximate number do you think we can put in the budget to show the savings of Chad doing it? I mean, just approximately. Obviously, we can't project that completely, but we do want to show that it might be a cut.
Where you'd go would be 410, 300, and I would venture to say you could probably go to $2,000.
Okay. Well, then
You
we'll go-
spent the year previous 2,600, and that was with everything
That's-
needing done. Normally,
That goes, Chris, that's not where it goes. It goes to repairs and maintenance services, 410, 370.
That's what I thought. But still, 2,500, we could probably cut 500 off of that, you'd say safely?
at least, yeah.
Well, then we'll change that to just a even 2,000 for now. And hopefully we even see more savings than that, but that's what we'll budget on. So we cut his education. Is there anywhere else in the budget that we can cut here? We've taken a lot of cuts into our police department.
Well, we're taking that 2,000 out of Health and Human Services.
Okay, well, we just need to choose which line items we're going to cut that from.
Well, how do you, just a general question to everyone, if we take 2,000 out, we have 6,500 to distribute. What do you think is fair? Do you just cut each group evenly? Or do we hit one harder than the other?
Well, I mean, if anything, I would say let's try to leave the fire department where it's at, because that's at least it goes towards our public safety. That's how I see it. I'm a little biased, so
Right.
that's just me.
What if we,
I do. Go ahead.
what
No,
if
go
we
ahead.
do the park and the pool, take 1,000 off each, and that would be our 2,000. They
I
get
would be fine
15
with that.
instead of 25.
I mean, I understand. I worry about both entities. Look how much the pool hurt this year. You know,
Well, they ended up not even, did they? I guess they did open this year.
they did. And I wish the commissioners would take care of their park, but they don't. They only care about the Belmont. And I'll go on record to say that to anybody.
I mean, I'm with Sue here. 1,000 from the park, 1,000 from the pool. For this year, if we're lucky, 2022, we can bump those back up again. So we'll bump. Did everyone agree on that?
Yes.
Okay.
What about the issue with the hydrants? You have to renegotiate that deal.
Yeah, so I would say we negotiate our deal to fit into our budget. Where we're at right now, we pay, I'll just give an update on this while we're talking about it, because I'm glad you said that. So our attorneys are working on negotiating the base of that. We'll worry about numbers later. We pay $75 per hydrant to both Westmoreland Water and to Parks Water. We pay $100 per hydrant to our own water. I spoke to Phil McConville, who's the chair of the Water Authority Board. He said he would be fine with us paying them what we pay everyone else. So at that rate, they have like just over 100 hydrants. We'd be at about $7,500 in hydrant fees to our water authority. So it would go up about $500 now that you say that, Sharon. Because we pay what, $7,000 our water authority right now?
Yes.
So it would go up approximately 500 if we're doing it per 75 per hydrant, the way we pay everyone else.
So why are we at 86 on there?
Yeah.
We also pay to Parks Water and Westmoreland Water for the hydrants in their service area.
Correct. Well, so
So-
which means the money you just cut from the park and pool, you're putting into hydrants. Not all of it, but half.
Yeah, about 500 of it.
Yeah. So that would have to get changed to 9,400.
Yeah.
So if we leave it the way it is,
Or 9,100, I mean, sorry.
why would we change it if we're gonna pay more? What's the benefit?
What do you mean?
Because as of, go ahead, Charlie.
So, well, we're out of an agreement with them. We haven't been in an agreement since 2012 with them.
Sure.
And if we paid them what our actual last agreement said, we'd be paying them closer to $10,000. Because
Okay.
we technically are supposed to pay them $100 per hydrant, and they have over 100 hydrants.
Okay.
So while it is going up, it in the long run is a benefit to us, because for many years the township has not been paying them as it should have. That was previous boards decided they weren't going to follow the agreement. The Water Authority did show me actually a legal opinion that the township should have been paying them more and wasn't. Again, this is mistakes of previous boards that we're getting hit with.
No, I
So-
understand. Just
We can't
and now that
squeeze
it's
more a year.
Well,
And
Given-
instead of paying them $100 if hydrant, we're paying them 75.
yeah, we're
Right.
paying less per hydrant under the new agreement. But for as long as we've been paying for only 70 hydrants instead of the 100 hydrants that they have.
It's in a box. It's not.
I understand that. I'm just saying, everybody's given. We can't try to get one more year out of this.
Well, that'll all be negotiated in our agreement with them, since we are out of agreement with them. But if anything, we could cut what we're paying them per hydrant. I mean, I still think we should budget for the 75, but again, that's me. There's 5 of us here, so.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of other boroughs and township that are having this, hardship. They might consider it for 1 year, lowering it.
I mean, we could even negotiate for the first year of agreement, it would be this amount per hydrant, and then every year following it would be the 75 that we pay everyone else. But again, that would all be up to negotiations with our water authority. So, I mean, if we want to leave it where it's at for now, we can negotiate that. I mean, it is an agreement. Neither of us are legally obligated to sign into it. We could right now stop paying them completely if we wanted to. That would be wrong of us, because everyone pays for hydrants. But
And in your talks with them, Charlie, there's just no way we can take that on as a township. That's just not. It's not legal. It's not something we want to do. I know you've briefed us on this before, but could you just give me the very short version of why we can't take it?
we would incur a lot more costs maintaining those hydrants than we pay them. That's in short.
That's the bottom line, basically.
That's the bottom line. Is if we were to incur the costs of maintaining the hydrants and the lines to them, their surrounding lines.
The lines to them is probably the key right there to that whole statement.
It's going to be the lines. It's going to be the hydrant itself and the lines that come up to them, and that's where the problem would lie.
Sure, I understand that.
I would think we would end up spending a lot more on maintenance of them than we pay them to maintain them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I will have to speak up for the pool just a little bit here. I know we talked about, and everybody kind of said taking 1,000 from the pool. I don't, in my opinion, that's not the place to take the 1,000 from. Just because I don't know if they have the capacity to raise money like some of these other organizations that we aren't going to take some money from. And I'd really hate to see our township lose the pool. I mean, I don't know if $1,000 is going to make or break the pool, but it certainly can't hurt them. It's just such an asset to our township. So if we could somehow find $1,000 somewhere else and keep the pool at that 2,500, or eliminate 1,000 from that general health and human services somewhere else, I personally would feel better about that. But again, I'm only 1/5.
We had a legal opinion several years ago, whenever the pool was first hit its first hardship, and they were, going to close, and they were trying to do fundraising and stuff to save the pool. And that's when the supervisors at that time decided we gave $5,000 to the pool a year, but it didn't go directly to the pool. I took it directly to First Commonwealth Bank and had it offset their mortgage that they had against the pool. The solicitor we had at the time said that if the pool were to, fall apart, close up, however you want to word it, that then the big vacant hole and the property will fall back on the supervisors. Like it would be ours to
Ours
I
to
don't
take
want to say
care of.
maintain, but
Either eliminate or
like, yeah, I mean, it would be,
It would be
like
our
everything
problem.
always felt like the buck stops here sort of thing. Everything becomes the township's problem if something goes into defunct.
Sure.
And so that's when the supervisors decided, well, they'd rather give $5,000 to help keep the pool afloat than take on the responsibility of suddenly here's a large hole that's our responsibility.
Mhm.
Charlie, what, the fire department is constantly running these, fundraisers, I've been buying a lot of them. Well, what does all that money go towards?
everybody.
Just into the fire department's budget. It goes into their fund. I mean, right now it's going towards the new fire truck we're getting. And that's because our engine is 22 years old and it's finally costing us more money to maintain than it would be just to get a new one. So, I mean, right now that's where a large chunk of the fundraising is going, but there's various places it goes. It goes to maintaining the fire department, maintaining equipment, purchasing of equipment, all of that.
Well, I agree with you. I hate to take from a department like that. However, they seem to have the highest ability to raise money.
So as far as what we contribute to the fire department, it's basically the $3,000 in the health and human services. And then again, correct me if I'm wrong, but do we not pay the insurance, some insurance for them? Is that correct, Charlie?
Automobile insurance.
Is that 486.352, Sharon? Fire company insurance?
Yes.
Okay, so essentially, all told, we are sending $7,130 to them in this proposed budget.
Plus they get free gas, diesel, free diesel. Yeah.
And we
And-
probably, I don't know if we probably don't have do we have a number on that? I mean, I don't know where that number would be.
No, that's in the road department budget under fuel and lubes, 437,240. Since the firemen and the road department are the only ones that use diesel, they're just kind of lumped in together because we don't
Sure.
have a log or way to meter anytime a fire truck fills up how many gallons they took.
Yeah, no, that's okay, Sharon. I was just curious.
The only thing that we are required by law to cover for a fire department is their workers' comp insurance.
Okay.
Anything else we give was just a supervisor decision at some point in time, a board, I shouldn't say a supervisor, a board to give to the fire department.
I mentioned a fundraiser. And Charlie, you had mentioned 5013C, but that's where I was thinking that the township and the fire department could go together maybe once in a while and split profits. But I don't know if that's something feasible.
I mean, it seems we're all kind of at a stalemate here on how we want to cut this. So I'll leave the floor open to motions on how to cut the 2,000 in health and human services. I'll do that because we all kind of have varying opinions.
Okay, before I make a motion, we're looking at $6,500 total to making donations. We're taking $2,000 off.
That's what it sounds like, yes.
I think that that's correct, Sue, yes.
Then my motion is that we give the fire department 2,500, the park 1,250, keep the pool at 2,500, and the library 250.
I'll second that motion, Sue.
Can I repeat that back to make sure I have that?
Yes,
I have fire 2,500, park 1,250, pool 2,500, library 250.
yes.
Okay, well, we'll do this by roll call again, just so we can hear everyone.
Charles Stahl,
No.
Chris Kulik,
Yes, I like that idea, Sue.
Jeremy Smell,
Yes.
Susan Brown,
Yes.
Linda Allworth.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay. Let's see. So we've cut our 2,000 there. We've cut approximately 10,000 from police. So we're at about a $12,000 savings right now. Still not nearly enough to get us where we need. At least for a 3 mil. I'm not quite sure what it'll get us for 4 mil.
What number am I putting in for hydrants? I kind of have a bunch of scribble marks everywhere.
It's 91.
I think
Was that-
we had said 91, but then we also said that let's just leave it where it's at and try to negotiate the first year be
So I don't know.
fitting
know what
into
I'm
our budget.
At 86?
So I would say just leave it at the 86, and we will negotiate with their board for our first year here to try to leave it where it's at, and then we can go from there. I mean, if everyone agrees with that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay.
Are we going to talk about the big elephant in the room at some point about what millage we're going with?
I was actually about to bring that up. I was just looking to see if there was anywhere else to cut, but it seems we've hit our wall here of cutting pretty much
What?
everywhere we can cut.
What was the decision on the equipment repair?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. We talked about splitting that between general account and liquid fuels.
I mean, that might get a little bit confusing. What if I have a big bill like I do for the tractor, 14,000? You paying so much of that one bill out of general fund and so much out of liquid fuels?
Well, that's
Yeah,
what I'm asking. I mean, if it's
Yeah.
not feasible, then it's not feasible.
My worry would be then we're stuck with how do we dictate that to the state that we aren't in violation of liquid fuel laws? I mean, I guess if we're paying half and half, I would say we would only have to do a bid if the half out of liquid fuels is above the bidding point.
I think if it's legal, I think we should try it at least this year. I mean, everybody else is giving a little bit.
I agree.
I think
Yeah.
we can handle it.
So currently our budget in general fund is, where's it at?
What?
For
Page 6, repairs to equipment, 437, 120. I'm sorry, that's wages.
250,
Take me back.
437, 250.
Yeah, 250. So we budgeted 15,000 for next year out of general fund and 0 from state fund.
So what if we leave 5,000 in general fund and make room in state fund for 10,000? How does everyone feel about that?
Then you have to cut 10,000 from state fund somewhere else.
Yes, we do, or 5,000 from 2 different places, which I was thinking cut 5,000 from paving, 5,000 from tar and chipping if Teddy can make that work, because that's about where we can cut.
He didn't hear you. He stepped away to get a pen.
I
Yeah,
noticed.
I kind of lost that too. Say that again.
So what I'm saying is we leave 5,000 in general fund, and then in state fund, we put a line item for 10,000, and then we're just gonna have to find places to cut 10,000, which the only places I know of that we could really cut the 10,000 would be oils and patching and construction and rebuilding. So we would cut 5,000 from each. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Petty
makes
back.
sense.
Petty, do you think it would make more sense to just take the full 10 out of the paving and not the oil and patching, because that would stretch further?
I would say to you that it really doesn't matter how you slice it. We have a finite amount of money in the state fund from our liquid fuels to spend. So just because we budget $2,000 for street signs, I can spend more than that as long as I have money not spent from other, like
Other
For
budget lines.
yeah, from like for instance, this year, you know, paving bids came in lower than what we budgeted. So, you know, there was a difference there that we could, what luckily it did, because that gave us our carryover because we got cut back for next year. But so that money that wasn't spent is what's carrying us over, you know, so it really doesn't
So the
matter.
line item doesn't matter, just so it's in
I
the-
mean, it does, but it in the long run, we have a finite amount of money we can use. And this just gives you an idea when we put these numbers in. To me, it's just a matter of, I don't really want to go over that whenever we're trying to figure out where we can do our paving or steel coating or how much pipe I can buy or signs.
right.
So are we fine to just say cut 5 from each for now, just to make up that 10, Ted? Would that be, I mean, again, like you said, in the long run, it doesn't really matter.
I think in the long run, it doesn't.
So just to balance it on paper, what if we do a $10,000 line item in state fund for repairs, leaving 5,000 in the general fund, and then we will cut 5,000 from construction and rebuilding and oils and patching each, 5,000 each. Does that proposal sound good to everyone?
I say yes.
As long as Ted can live with it, I can live with it.
Yeah.
Same as I thought about Chris's budget. As long as the police can work with it, I can work with it.
Yeah, because ultimately they know their job better than any of us.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's another 10,000 out of general fund. So that's great.
So that puts us at roughly $24,000
In savings, yeah.
so far.
So what, we don't vote to set the tax rate tonight, and we don't finalize the budget tonight. This is all done at the year-end meeting. So, I mean, unless anyone has anywhere else we can go, I say we let Sharon punch these numbers into the computer and see where our budget lies. And then at the year-end meeting, we can decide the final tax rate. I mean, that seems to be our only option right now.
Okay, but my one question I'm gonna ask is, like, the budget you have sitting in front of you has the real estate income, what we discussed originally with being at 12 mils. What am I gonna make that millage to be so I can punch in all the other numbers so you can see what it balances out at? 7 where we're sitting at?
Let's try 11. That way we're doing a 4 mil raise. Now this is just guessing on this. Obviously we don't set the rate till the year end.
Right.
But how does everyone feel about setting the rate at a 4 mil raise just to see where we're at? I know it's not the 3 that Jeremy and Linda were hoping, but it is a 1 mil cut.
I mean, can we have options, or?
You mean you want me to print off like with every option?
I don't know, but that way we're.
That would be an option too. I mean, if you could, Sharon.
Yeah.
Run a report for 3 mils, a report for 4, and a report for 5.
Okay.
What about if we do 3.5?
That's what I was gonna say. What if we do like 3, 3.5, and 4?
4.
That would work too.
I'd like to see those 3.
Yeah, I mean, we already have where we're at 5, so I guess she wouldn't need to run that again, other than for more up-to-date numbers.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, we did a lot of changing in numbers, so.
Yeah, just run a 3, 3.5, 4, and a 5, just so we can see where we're at.
Okay.
In all your extra time, Sharon.
Yeah, and all the time you have.
Right.
Did you say you were taking vacation over Christmas?
Oh man, I can't take it fast enough. Let me tell you.
Good thing you know what you're doing, Sharon.
Yeah. She can. I mean, luckily, it should be a fairly simple task of just
Right.
putting in the numbers we decided tonight, and just changing the income to
Right.
each mill.
Yep.
I mean, 'cause we're assuming right now. Have we been budgeting on 1 mill being equal to 36,000?
Yes.
That's
Well,
what I thought.
like it was like, yeah, between 36, 37, something like that. Yeah.
'Cause 39 and some odd
Would be if
cents
everybody paid.
would be if everyone paid, but we never budget
Right.
on everyone paying their taxes
No.
because
No.
I won't even go to the list of delinquencies we have here.
Right.
Did we make a decision on the cleaning part or no?
No.
I don't think we made an official decision on that.
Are we gonna try to cut that?
I'm still of the opinion we try to cut it and just have her do upstairs, and maybe even just once a month.
I agree with you, Charlie. I think if we can, it's $1,300, but in this case, every dollar counts right now.
Yeah. And I mean, if she does decide that this is not the job she wants, she doesn't want to get paid less to do less.
We can find
We
somebody.
can price out. We can price out.
Well,
Certainly find somebody.
I mean, she's been with us 15 years and she's done a wonderful job, but
Well, she probably would understand what everybody's going through right now
yeah.
and hopefully, stick with us for a year.
So Sharon, go ahead and try to budget. Did we decide 1,300 everyone?
Yes.
For the year?
Yeah.
1,300 for the year for janitorial. Okay. Does anyone have anything else before we do a minute for public comment? If anyone wants to call in.
Can we get rid of the road superintendent and the mileage and expenses for supervisors and just leave that both at zero for 2021? It's another 700.
No. The mileage and expenses for supervisors covers pretty much us going to the county convention and us going to me and Sue usually going to the PSATS convention in Hershey. So Sue, you usually do the driving to Hershey.
I'll suck up that money.
You'll suck up
I'll
paid
use my
mileage.
$44.13.
Your
Cover the
big
gas to
paycheck,
Hershey.
too.
And then also, Sharon, does that line item also cover the hotel and everything for the conference? No.
No.
That's
Okay.
just mileage.
That goes under dues, conventions, and seminars.
Okay.
406, 420.
Which we shouldn't have to pay this year because they're actually crediting this year's convention from us not having it last year. So this will be we will have paid for it in 2020. They did
And
send
then
that
can
in.
you get rid of the salary for the road superintendent or not? Did you say?
You can.
We can. That's you, Chris. That's if you ever have to go out and work as a road superintendent, I believe.
Yeah, just take that out of there then.
You heard the man.
So that puts us at a $26,000 savings so far, which I think is really good work by everybody. Everybody's sacrificing, which is much appreciated.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Hey, Sharon, can you look at since Charlie has it up, I don't know if that's adding to my total or not, and if it might be in two places. 410, 170.3. Is that on both Ted's budget and mine?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh, good. So that's
So
another.
there's another $2,000 that'll pop off my budget.
Yeah, that was just I'm assuming a mistype. It just
Yeah.
threw it there. So
Yes.
there's another 1776 saved out of the police budget.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, you took a lot of
Good eye.
sacrifices.
Yes. Thank you very much for your sacrifices. They're greatly
Yeah.
appreciated.
Can I talk to the board before you go to public comment?
Yeah.
I just want to, as Linda pointed out, I wasn't angry. I get kind of passionate. I enjoy the job. I enjoy working here, and I enjoy the township as the residents. So I wasn't angry. I just am passionate about the job, and I enjoy being here. So my passion sometimes gets the best of me. So
Yeah.
if I came off as angry, I apologize.
I think the way to put it is you're angry at the situation, just like all of us are.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not angry at us. You're just angry at the situation we're all stuck in, and we're all
Right.
angry at that. It's a tough spot to be put in.
Yeah.
If no one has anything else, we'll have Sharon run a report for, what did we say, 3.5, 4, and 5.
3, 3.5, 4, 5.
Perfect.
That's what I wrote down.
And then we can see where we're at for everything. I mean, and then we can, at the year-end meeting, make the decision on what we feel is best for the budget and the future of the township. Because I do want to plan for the future too here and not leave future boards in the position we're stuck in right now.
I just want to say one thing. Charlie, you do a hell of a job.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, I agree. You guys all work very hard.
And
Yeah.
Chris, both of you. Chris, Charlie, Sharon, all of you. Ted.
Sometimes I say none of us get paid enough for this job because it's all of us on the board. We all put in our time here, and $50 a month might seem little, but we don't do it for the money. We do it for the people.
Quite an education, I'll tell you.
That's the truth. If only everyone could be in our shoes for just a month in this position, they would see.
I think they'd go running.
Okay, so Sharon, do you have the call forwarding set up?
I do.
Okay, go ahead and give the number for people to call if they would like to speak to the board right now, for anyone that's watching.
Okay, the number to call is 724-845-0981.
And we will give, it's 7:30 right now. We'll give till 7:35 for anyone to call in. And at that point, we'll pass public comment. I know I said 7:35, but it's been 3 minutes and no one has called. And according to YouTube, only one person is watching. So if that one person hasn't called in yet, I don't believe they're going to call in. So I'm just going to go ahead and end public comment now. And with that, we don't have like an official agenda on paper, but Year-end meeting is going to be December 30th at 6 p.m. We decided that at the beginning of the year. So that will be our next meeting. We're going to do it in this same format because this seems to have worked best. YouTube put it up wonderfully, a lot better than Facebook did. So we're going to stick with this format. And if no one has anything else, I'll need a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion for adjournment.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion